Hi everyone, welcome back to Actual English. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 313 and we're on our music category. It's time for music 3 and today's topic is pansori. What's interesting is, of course, pansori is traditional Korean music. It's ours. It belongs to Korea. And the music genre itself, or pansori itself, has a very long history, okay, a very rich history in itself. But if we were to, compare it to modern music or to foreigners, you can say it's very similar to. It's not exactly, but it's similar to what we know as rap music. So it's a very traditional music, but it's also very similar to modern rap, as in how it's like poetry. The words are spoken to the beat of a drum or beat of music, okay? So I guess we'll have many more to mention as we talk about pansori today. So let's begin with our first segment, Actual Talk. Have you heard any Korean traditional music?
Yeah, when I first came to the country, I had the benefit to travel around quite a little bit because I had a free schedule. So I got to go and see a little bit of the culture, experience the history, and try and ingratiate myself into it. And a lot of the ways to do that comes from music.
Right. Whenever I travel, I like to look for, in the new country, I like to look for traditional music and food. Those are the two things I think you kind of get a deep understanding of the culture, like a sneak peek into history. I don't know. All those things kind of come up in music and food.
Yeah, definitely. With regards to Korean culture and history, sort of using it from a musical perspective, you go to Gyeongbokgung or you go to Andong to the music festival there, the Mask Festival. They always use music, traditional Korean music, like pansori.
Okay.
So it's like a battle music.
Okay.
It's almost like rap music, basically.
That's kind of like just a drum and then a voice.
Yeah.
Kind of like poetry over a beat.
Yeah.
Which is essentially where rap came from.
Yeah, which then brings you sort of through to today's society where Korean rap is very popular. So G-Dragon, I can't think of other Korean rappers, but it's a really popular formula here now.
I think I always think it's interesting when I travel to see the traditional music and then see the modern music, or hear it, I suppose. Yeah. And kind of try to fill in the blanks and see how it evolved and see how the modern music was influenced by the traditional music. It tells an interesting story.
It tells a story in and of itself, yeah, definitely.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you listen carefully? Pansori, this topic could have been a bit difficult for you to understand, or at least fully understand, but the point is to try to listen to or understand as much as you hear, as much as the words come to you naturally, okay? Don't force yourself. Don't push yourself to understand something, okay? And don't get stressed because you don't fully understand the conversation, because I'll help you through it. So today we had Martin and Mary talking about pansori. Let's see what they've mentioned. Now here we had Mary beginning by saying, have you heard any Korean traditional music? Okay, now the reason I have added this to Mary's question is because of the order. Okay, as you see, Korean traditional music. And what I've added, it's traditional Korean music, okay? There we go. So traditional, I'll just triangle it and underline music. Now, this is tricky. It's tricky for me as well. I get confused. Some people say that it's correct to say Korean traditional music, but the majority of people say that traditional and then country, music, dance, food, whatever, is the proper order, okay? So it is tricky. Many people get this confused, but I'd like you to remember the proper order, okay? Always say traditional Korean music, traditional Korean dance, traditional Korean food, all right? Just get the order correct. So anyhow, the question is, have you heard any traditional Korean music? Have you heard any? Okay, what did Martin say? Yeah, when I first came to the country. So when he first came to Korea, he heard pansori, or, well, traditional Korean music. I had the benefit, the advantage of traveling around a bit because I had a free schedule. That's our pattern. Okay, so we've got a vocab word and a pattern here. Now he's saying that he had the benefit of traveling around the country. If you say you have the benefit of doing something, you are saying that you have the advantage of doing something. So he's saying I was lucky to have the opportunity to travel. I had the advantage of traveling around a little bit, because I had a free schedule. Here we go, our first pattern for today. To have a free schedule could mean that you have free time. You're unoccupied. It can also mean that you are not gainfully employed, meaning you don't have a proper job. You're not making money through a job. So if you're jobless and you're maybe looking for a job, but at the moment, if you are not earning any money from a job, you can say that you have a free schedule, okay? So at the time, he wasn't working, and he was lucky enough to have the chance to travel a little bit around Korea. So I got to go and see a little bit of the culture, experience the history, and try and ingratiate myself into it. Into it meaning Korean history as well as culture. Okay, this is a tricky one though, ingratiate. I'm not quite sure how I should put this, but ingratiate itself, this word means to deliberately try to please somebody. So if you say that you ingratiate yourself, you're saying that you try very hard to please somebody or to try to make somebody like you, okay? You are deliberately trying to please somebody. But I think that Martin was actually talking about absorbing the culture and history, okay, fully. Really absorbing everything, okay? So we'll go over that word later on once again. Anyhow, he says, and a lot of the ways to do that comes from music. A lot of the ways to do that meaning what? To experience the culture, to experience the history of a country, to learn about that country comes from music. It all comes from music. You can learn about a certain country through their music. Whenever I travel, Mary says, I like to look for traditional music and food. Okay, so she likes to look for traditional music and food. She listens to traditional music and she tries traditional food. Those are the two things through which I think you get a deep understanding. A deep understanding is a very good understanding, okay? A clear understanding of the culture. Like a sneak peek into history, okay? What is a sneak peek? Okay, as you see, sneak, S-N-E-A-K, and then peek, P-E-E-K. It's not P-E-A-K, it's peek. Peek is what? You secretly look into something. Peekaboo, okay, right? That's peeking into something, secretly looking for something or looking into something, all right? But sneak peek is basically like a quick look, okay? A quick preview maybe. There are sneak peeks when it comes to, let's say, there's an exhibition, okay? And there are artworks to be displayed, or there is a film to be maybe played, okay? Before it's actually open to the general public, maybe if they select their audience, just a couple of people, they invite just a few people to come and take a look, a quick look at the movie, at the exhibition. That is also called a sneak peek. But here we're talking about a very quick look, okay, quick understanding. So I think you can get a deep understanding, a full understanding of the culture, like a sneak peek, a quick peek into history. All those things come up in music and food. Once again, music and food. But here is another pattern. Come up in something, okay? Come up could mean to appear, appear. Come up in something means to appear as well, or to be mentioned even. So you can say that something came up, okay? You're saying that something all of a sudden happened, okay? Your name came up in the conversation. It means in the conversation, your name was mentioned. Okay, we'll go over this practice with a sample sentence similarly later on. But anyhow, she's saying that all those things come up in music. They are all mentioned. They are all appear in music and food. Definitely, Martin says, you go to Gyeongbokgung or you go to Andong, okay, to the music festival there, to the mask festival. And they always use music, traditional Korean music, pansori. It's almost like rap music, basically. So here, he compares rap music to pansori. As I did explain to you, I was reading through the web, I was searching for information, and it was interesting how a lot of foreigners or foreign visitors that came to Korea had a better understanding. It was easier for them to understand pansori, okay, when pansori was described as a similar type of music to rap. So they understood pansori a lot more easily when they compared it to rap music. I guess that's why Martin is saying rap music too. Anyhow, now places like Gyeongbokgung and even Andong, you go to these places and they always use music. You will hear music, traditional Korean music such as pansori, and it's almost like rap music, okay? Now, Mary describes why it is similar to rap music. That's kind of just a drum and then a voice, kind of like poetry over a beat. Poetry over a beat, which is essentially where rap came from. So rap is very similar in this way, okay? So there in pansori we have a drum, and we also have a voice, right? The singer, the person who sings those verses. And it's kind of like poetry. It's kind of like, the person is voicing poetry, singing poetry, or speaking poetry to a beat. What is a beat? B-E-A-T. Beat in the verb form could mean to hit, to blow, beat somebody up, using force, blow, hit something. But here we're talking about beat in the noun form. So a beat would be the sound of a blow or a hit, for example, like a beat of a drum. Dung, dung, dung. That's a beat of a drum, the sound of the blow or hit. So that's basically where rap came from as well. Which then brings you through to today's society where Korean rap is very popular. Now we're talking about what? Korean rap, how it's very popular. We're talking about modern Korean rap. G-Dragon is an example. So G-Dragon, he raps. He's not the main rapper, but he does rap. And he says, I can't think of other Korean rappers, but it's a really popular formula here now. So now he's switched over to Korean rap, modern Korean rap. He's also mentioned G-Dragon and formula as in a method for doing something that's usually likely to bring about good results. Okay, so we're talking about a successful plan, for example. So he's saying, it's a really popular formula here now. It's a very successful plan. It's a method that really works well in attracting people, okay, people's attention. Mary says, I always think it's interesting when I travel. What is interesting? To see the traditional music and then to see the modern music. Rather, hear it. That's right, she corrected herself. So she says that it's interesting to hear traditional music when she travels. It's also very interesting to see modern music or hear modern music and try to fill in the blanks and see how it evolved and see how the modern music was influenced by the traditional music. Now these sentences are long, so let's break it up. Anyhow, up till this point, she says that whenever she travels, she finds it interesting. She always tries to listen to traditional music and always tries to listen to that country's modern music as well. Why? She also tries to fill in the blanks and see how it evolved. The reason she does that is because she wants to get an understanding of how things have evolved. What does to evolve mean? Evolve, E-V-O-L-V-E. Evolve means to change, okay? So things evolve around us. We're not talking about a complete change, but rather a slow, a gradual, a steady and gradual change that usually occurs. Usually resulting in more advanced things, but also plants and animals can evolve as well. They change into different forms, right? So she's saying that it's interesting to see how music evolves, kind of changes gradually from traditional music to modern music, okay? And also to see how modern music was influenced by traditional music. And she finally says, it tells an interesting story. Yes, music tells a very, very interesting story, right? Okay, and then what does Martin say? He agrees by saying, it tells a story in and of itself. Yep, definitely. It tells a story in and of itself, meaning it tells a story. It tells, a complete story of itself, everything about it. So it's true. Just as these two have mentioned, you can find out so much about a country's culture and history by listening to their music, and that is what they have mentioned. Let's take a listen one more time.
Have you heard any Korean traditional music?
Yeah, when I first came to the country, I had the benefit to travel around quite a little bit because I had a free schedule. So I got to go and see a little bit of the culture, experience the history, and try and ingratiate myself into it. And a lot of the ways to do that come through music.
Right. Whenever I travel, I like to look for, in the new country, I like to look for traditional music and food. Those are the two things I think you kind of get a deep understanding of the culture, like a sneak peek into history. I don't know. All those things kind of come up in music and food.
Yeah, definitely. With regards to Korean culture and history, sort of using it from a musical perspective, you go to Gyeongbokgung or you go to Andong to the music festival there, the mask festival. They always use music, traditional Korean music, like pansori.
Okay.
So it's like a battle music.
Okay.
It's almost like rap music, basically.
That's kind of like just a drum and then a voice.
Yeah.
Kind of like poetry over a beat.
Yeah.
Which is essentially where rap came from.
Yeah, which then brings you sort of through to today's society where Korean rap is very popular. So G-Dragon, I can't think of other Korean rappers, but it's a really popular formula here now.
I think I always think it's interesting when I travel to see the traditional music and then see the modern music, or hear it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And kind of try to fill in the blanks and see how it evolved and see how the modern music was influenced by the traditional music. It tells an interesting story.
It tells a story in and of itself, yeah, definitely.
Welcome back, everyone. Now it's time for our actual expressions. Are you ready? Okay, then let's begin. The first vocab word we have for you is benefit. Benefit. Okay, a benefit can be an advantage. If you benefit from something, it would become a verb, which means that you gain an advantage. Okay, you gain something in that case, but here, yes, just a benefit is an advantage. A profit, even a gain. All right. What about ingratiate? Just want you to get this straight. Ingratiate means to flatter, okay, to charm, attract. Brown nose is another informal word, okay. This basically means to deliberately try to please somebody. You do something just to make somebody happy, just to satisfy them, okay. All right, and beat is what? Beat is a sound. As I told you in today's actual talk, beat was used in the noun form. So in the noun form, it means the sound of a blow or a hit. Sound, Okay, even rhythm would be another synonym. Moving on. Formula, here we go. It can be called a recipe, a rule, a method, okay, or even a blueprint. A rough blueprint of something, a rough plan. So a method, as in a method for doing something that is likely to bring about good results in a situation, okay? So that is a formula. Evolve, here we go. Evolve means to develop gradually or progress. And usually we're talking about progressing or changing into a more advanced state. When it comes to plants and animals, that's right, we talked about gradually changing into a different form. Okay, let's move on to our first pattern for today. Have a free schedule means what? To have free time, okay, to be unoccupied. It can also mean that you are, well, not gainfully employed, meaning to not have a job, okay? So here we go. I had a free schedule for the first 2 months of this year. Meaning what? I did not have a job for the first 2 months of the year. It could also mean that you had a lot of time on your hands, okay? You had a lot of free time during the first 2 months of the year. But usually I would say this means that you did not have a job, okay? Sneak peek is what? Sneak peek. Or even a quick look at something, a quick preview of something. I just saw the sneak peek on the web. So it could have been a sneak peek of a movie, for example, okay? I just saw a sneak peek on the web, on the internet, okay? Or on YouTube, for example, right? Okay, moving on to our final one. Come up in something. Something can come up, meaning to appear, to be mentioned. So here's a sample sentence. Your name came up at the meeting. As I mentioned, if you say that your name came up, you're saying that your name was mentioned. People mentioned you. They talked about your name. Your name came up in the meeting, at the gathering, at dinner, for example. Okay? So please do make these patterns and these vocab words yours by going over them many times. Okay? Job well done.
Pansori is interesting in that it involves just 2 performers. Unfortunately, originally there were 12 operas, but now we have been subjected only to 5. Over the years, I think we've lost a lot of the operas. The 2 performers are based around a singer, the main part, and the accompaniment through a drummer. Who sometimes make some vocal accompaniment points throughout the performance, and it can last for hours. It's different to European music or traditional music. I mean, I say European, I'm from Britain, because, well, we have very distinct periods of time during the classical phase, we have the Baroque phase, medieval phase, and we have many more performers in terms of singing and in terms of accompaniment with music. So there are differences there.
We had Eugene B. from the UK helping us out today. He's from Britain, and he's mentioned lots of interesting things about traditional music, including pansori, which happens to be today's topic. He did begin by saying that pansori is interesting. Why? Particularly because it involves 2 performers, just 2. Let's take a look at what else he's mentioned. The 2 performers are based around a singer, the main part, and the accompaniment through a drummer. So the 2 performers in a pansori would be a drummer and the vocal, meaning the singer. It's different to European music or traditional music. It's different to, you may have noticed, in the UK or in British English, they usually say it's different to something, whereas in American English, we say it's different from, okay? So that's why he said it's different too, but he's making a comparison. He's saying A and B are different. It's different to European music or traditional music. And he also says, I'm from Britain, so we have very distinct periods of time. Distinct meaning very different, okay, in their own ways. Distinct periods of time. During the classical phase, we have the Baroque phase, medieval phase. So let's practice the pronunciation, okay? So classical phase, there's Baroque stage, there's medieval stage. Baroque, medieval. Okay, so please take a listen to it one more time carefully.
Pansori is interesting in that it involves just two performers. Unfortunately, originally there were 12 operas, but now we have been subjected only to 5. Over the years, I think we've lost a lot of the operas. The two performers are based around a singer, the main part, and the accompaniment through a drummer, who sometimes makes some vocal accompaniment points throughout the performance, and it can last for hours. It's different to European music or traditional music. I mean, I say European, I'm from Britain, because, well, we have very distinct periods of time during the classical phase, we have the Baroque phase, medieval phase, and we have many more performers in terms of singing and in terms of accompaniment with music. So there are differences there.
Today's topic was music, and we focused on pansori, also touched upon traditional music and modern music. We talked about, I guess, traditional Korean music, including pansori, how many people are involved in performing pansori, and even slightly about modern Korean music. Not exactly K-pop in general, but we did touch upon that as well, as we mentioned rap music, modern rap that is. I hope that you learned a lot, and hopefully you'll have, an easy time talking about pansori or traditional music in the future. Okay, next time let's talk about a place that we tend to like to go to. Okay, our favorite hangouts, places we enjoy going to. All right, please do tune in for that next time. In the meantime, come to our homepage, everyone. Come on over to www.ebse.co.kr. Look for Actual English with Jennifer, and you know what to do, right? If you have any messages you want to share, post them up on our message board. Okay, that is all for today, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you again next time. Until then, take care and bye for now.